Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drakewing Game. It's me on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Adastra. So, Neferu got beat up quite a bit in the last episode, so I believe we're going to see Cassius right now, so I'm a little worried about that, but I guess we shall see how that ends up, okay? Anyway, y'all, please sit back and enjoy for the next 18 minutes of entertaining you. Let's jump right in. Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go. Alright. I want to ask her a lot of things, but I'm worried about overstepping boundaries. Something that seems rather easy to do with her. As we get closer to that door, I can't help myself from asking at least one question. So, do you care that Amicus is in the dungeons? Like, you want to get him out not because you want to be his advisor, right? Not just because, okay. Immediately I see the wolf's ears flick back in. Hopefully mild annoyance and not extreme anger. Her voice is steady when she answers me, though. First of all, it's not any of your business what my motivations are, Kyllian. Virginia doesn't follow that up immediately, so we're left in an awkward silence as we walk the last 10 feet to the throne room door. She pauses there and finally looks at me, her eyes narrowed. But Amicus is my brother, and for that alone, I love him. And though he's a complete dullard, he's one of the few to be genuinely kind to me in this palace. He is a good wolf. Virginia turns away, raising a paw to hover over the black panel. But you would already know that. With that, she presses the panel and the door slides open. I immediately spot Cassius at the other end of the cavernous room, looking a bit small and insignificant on the extravagant throne. Probably not the best impression for the Emperor of Adastra to make. As I'm thinking this, we begin to make our way towards him. A drone hovers in front of the white wolf, holding up a screen under his face. He's not looking at it right now, though, instead narrowing his eyes at the two of us as Virginia escorts me to the base of the steps. Here he is, brother. Cassius shifts around in his seat. For a moment, I think I catch sight of some sort of booster seat under his rear. Thank you, Virginia. You can leave us be for now. Virginia hesitates, clasping her paws together in front of herself. Brother, I would feel more comfortable if I were allowed to stay. I'd rather not leave you alone with an unprofiled alien. Cassius snorts, waving his paw dismissively. I've interacted with it many times before. I will be fine. If not, then the drones will take care of him. Cassius makes eye contact with me as he says that last part, clearly meaning for me to take it as a warning or a threat. Virginia hesitates again, and Cassius's eyes drift towards her in question. That's when the she-wolf bows deeply before turning away. As she passes me, she gives me her own look, not unlike Neferu's. Be careful. I continue to face Cassius as I listen to Virginia's soft footsteps proceed behind me, then I hear the door open and close. I keep my eyes low on Cassius's feet, though I can tell he's looking directly at me. The silence drags on. I wonder if the white wolf is using Cato's technique of using silence to intimidate. Finally, though, he clears his throat loudly, almost making me jump. First, I want to say that you may speak freely here. I only want the truth. Finally, I look up at him. Finally, I look up at him then, and see that he's not looking at me anymore. Instead, it's to the side, as if he's lost in thought. I'm confused as to how all of this could have happened. So know that if you speak the truth, you'll be free from any consequences. Consequences? He's making it sound as if I've committed some sort of crime or conspiracy. I mean, maybe I've been part of some, but it's definitely not my fault. What do you want to know? Cassius's eyes flick to mine then, and I see mild surprise there. He's still probably not used to an alien like me speaking directly to him in full sentences. He pauses again before resting his chin on a paw. Clearly he's trying to look casual. Who exactly are you? I raise an eyebrow. Kyllian, you already know this. I know your name, but I want to know more beyond that. What is it that you're doing here? How did my brother find you? Immediately our conversation reaches a point where I find myself unsure of what to say. How much can I say to him? Obviously, I can't trust him at all. I know that. But I also know that he's in complete control over what happens to Amicus, and there may be a few things I have to give up to keep my wolf safe. So I square my shoulders and look Cassius in the eye. I want to know that Amicus is okay first, and I want to see him. Immediately, Cassius's demeanor changes from sour suspicion to sour fury. Excuse me? You aren't the one to make demands here. I am the Emperor, and you will answer my questions. I get the vague sensation of my balls drawing up into my stomach as I realize how dangerous all this is. My thoughts go to that physician, Felix, being sent to the dungeons without a second thought. But I know I have protections, and I have to trust them now if I'm going to make any sort of deal with Cassius. Yeah, but you're not my emperor. I answer to the pharaoh. I'm spitballing, but it seems to be working as it gives Cassius pause. After a moment, it seems like he's able to collect himself. So I've heard. But remind yourself that you are an Adastra. Therefore, you are to abide by our laws and customs, and lying to the emperor is punishable by death. And again, that feeling in my stomach. But I have to remind myself, rules don't matter here. It's all about playing their game. I know that Cassius would never have me executed or imprisoned while Neferu is here. That would be far too risky for the Empire as a whole. I can't be intimidated by empty threats, even if they threaten my life. If I want to help Amicus, I have to push the limits, at least within reason. I also remind myself that I'm not completely untouchable, as Neferu's balls can attest to. I just want to see my former master. If you can guarantee me that, then I'll tell you what happened. There's a long pause as Cassius just glares at me, then he lets out a little huff. Fine. It's almost funny how he's still acting like a child despite now being the Emperor of Adastra. So, I take a deep breath. I consider lying, of course, but what Amicus did was an honest mistake, at least in my opinion. Lying will probably only make things worse when the truth should be so understandable. So I start at the beginning, how Amicus came upon the records of my people in the archives, how he rushed to my planet to find a willing pet, how everything suddenly went south when he found out far too late that we were not part of the Galaxius, and finally how he tried to keep it all of a secret to keep the Empire safe. I emphasize the keeping the Empire safe part, even if it wasn't originally at the top of my priorities. I'm telling the truth, even if I'm stretching it a bit. Cassius listens to all this with various reactions: contempt, surprise, anger, then contemplation. I'm struck by the contrast between him and Cato. While Cato keeps his emotions in check, aside from the occasional explosions of rage, Cassius wears it all on his sleeve. Not that different from Amicus in that way, even if his personality is. When Cassius still doesn't say anything, I sigh. It was an honest mistake. You've got to understand that. I already know that it was a mistake. Even Amicus would not make first contact on purpose. I just wondered what sort of stupidity caused it. He had no reason to think we were uncontacted. We were recorded in the library or whatever. Cassius suddenly shifts on his throne. What are you? Species and planet name. His last sentence has the inflection of an expectant demand. Now I'm left to stand in silence. No fucking way am I telling this wolf brat where I'm from. Cassius must see this on my face immediately, because his fur once again puffs out in anger. Do you want to see Amicus or not? I need to know this to verify that what you are saying is truthful. Is that really why? I know what you wolves do to other aliens. Why would I give away my people like that? Cassius puffs himself up even bigger, and I wonder if he's going to start screaming at me, and he suddenly just deflates. The problem here is first contact, yes. So why would I go out to find and do whatever you think it is that I do to your people? I have no interest in furthering the problem. I simply want to know. But why do you care? Cassius snaps his eyes back up to mine. Believe it or not, Kyllian, I am trying to help Amicus. Do you not know the consequences of such a crime? He could be executed for this. And my heart does a backflip. What? Why? Because it is a sacred rule created by the parents. Disobeying them risks our entire empire to abandonment. But you're the Emperor. If you want him kept alive, can't you just do that? I feel myself starting to panic a little. I thought that maybe Amicus would be kept in the dungeons for a while, but I never thought there'd be a risk of him being executed. If it were only that I knew of this, maybe. There are others that know of his crime, and they expect me to terminate all evidence of the first contact. Cassius stares at me, and I realize part of that evidence is, of course, me. Are you talking about Cato? He's just your advisor, right? You can ignore him. This time Cassius doesn't respond, looking away again. If I can make the case that this was truly an honest mistake, then maybe I have a chance of convincing these others. Better yet, convince them that this wasn't first contact at all. Are you even sure your people are completely unaware of the Galaxius? I start to say that I am pretty sure, but he's looking at me in a strange way. Our governments are pretty secretive. They might know something. So it's possible that a crime wasn't committed at all. Simply a misunderstanding. And knowing where you came from can help us determine that. I'm a bit caught off guard by all this. I guess I just expected Cassius to let Amicus rot in the dungeons while he enjoyed his emperorship. I'm reminded of what Virginia had said earlier, that although they might stab each other in the back, they're still siblings. Didn't you once say that you don't care about the parents? Wouldn't it be part of your plan for them to abandon the Empire? Cassius sighs deeply. I've said many things, but I've found that once you become Emperor, your perspective on things changes. Like, how much you need the parents? Cassius glares at me, so I just go on. How would they find out anyway? Amicus said something about monitors? Obviously we can talk about it out in the open without anything happening. Obviously we can, okay. We can, okay. I look around as if expecting a monitor to poke its head out from behind one of the pillars. I don't know, but what I do know is that the fewer who know, the better. Oh. I don't know, but what I do know is that the fewer who know, the better. What even is a monitor? Cassius shrugs. Again, I don't know. None have appeared in living memory. That does not mean that we should not be cautious. The risk is far too great. I don't really understand this. I feel like if the parents are as powerful and all-knowing as these aliens make them out to be, then they probably already know I'm here. Before I can bring this up to Cassius, though. So what are you, and where are you from? I think. He's right that it wouldn't make sense for the wolves to go after Earth. This is technically the last thing that the Empire would want, especially with Cassius as Emperor considering his isolationist views. But most importantly, it could help Amicus. I take a deep breath. And if I tell you, you'll let me see Amicus? Yes. I don't like only being able to go on his word, but for some reason I feel like he's being sincere. I'm a human, from the planet Earth. Human. Earth. Cassius mumbles the words, the lingua cutting off and allowing me to hear the wolf's accented voice unfiltered. He pulls the floating drones at his side toward himself, tapping at the screen a few times, probably making notes. It feels incredibly wrong at the moment, like I've betrayed all humans somehow, but again, I can't see why it would put Earth in danger. On top of that, I'm also counting on Amicus becoming Emperor eventually. I know he'd never do anything to my planet. I'm playing the game. Cassius stares at the screen a while, and I shift around on my feet. So, I can go see him now? He snaps his gaze up to mine. Yes, now is best. Cato should not be back for a few hours, but I can only give you 20 minutes just to be safe. Cato? Excuse me, guys. What about him? What do you mean, what about him? I want to ask Cassius why it sounds like Cato is in charge and not he himself, but I know not to press his buttons right now. Never mind, so I can go see him regularly? Cassius sighs loudly again, standing up. If it's not off, then you come to me first, and if Cato's away... Yep, definitely not fully in charge. Cato's clearly got some control over Cassius. Either way, I'm too happy at the thought of being able to see Amicus semi-regularly to care at the moment. Anyway, come, escort Kyllian to the dungeons to visit Amicus for 20 minutes. That's when I remember I have other questions. Wait, do you have contact with the parents now? Cassius looks at me strangely. Yes, we made contact after I became Emperor. It was expected. Oh, that's good! Indeed, though we had to implement the traditional technique. It's a bit archaic, but highly effective. Oh, so do you have the stretch drive again? Cassius looks at me suspiciously. Hey, I need to get home eventually, and you'd be getting rid of the problem if you got me there. Well, no, not yet. I've only spoken with him a few times. I'll be meditating on that today. I'll keep you updated when we discuss things in the future. When you want to talk to me again? Yes. Cassius then stalks off while a drone circles around me, telling me to follow it. I think about apologizing then for the whole Nervo incident, but then I realize if he's not going to mention it, then maybe I shouldn't either. I realize how strange the whole exchange has been. Cassius has seemed like a whole different person, but I guess now he thinks me more of a... he probably now thinks of me more as an equal, at least in terms of intelligence. It makes him almost tolerable. I'm led to a part of the palace that I've never been to before. We go through a small door, into a small room that has a small pit in it. A ladder leads down into this pit. A pit that I can only imagine leads to the dungeons. The hole is dark, and as I pause, I can feel the drone hovering behind me. Please proceed down the ladder, Kyllian. I get a prickling sensation on the back of my neck, and I wonder for a moment if this is some sort of trap. I mean, of course it feels like a trap. I have a creepy AI nudging me toward a pit of darkness, all set up by Cassius. Despite the feeling, I force myself downward, shakily lowering myself down to the ladder, several times feeling as if I'm going to slip and fall. I have no idea how deep this thing goes. As I start to think it might be a significant drop, my foot hits solid ground. To my surprise, I get exactly what I'd been expecting. It's what looks like, well, straight up dungeon. Dim yellow lighting is cast across the stone walls and floor, the air musty and stale, the hall's quiet. The air is cold, and fleetingly I'm glad that Amicus has at least that. As I'm thinking this, I hear movement up ahead. Shuffling footsteps and shadows being cast on the walls of the hallway in front of me. I take a few steps forward, but then calm buzzes behind me. Remain close to the ladder, please. I stop and wait impatiently, wondering if what's up ahead is indeed Amicus. Again, I get that creeping feeling that I've been betrayed somehow. That what's up ahead is some sort of monster Cassius decided to feed me to. Instead, though, what turns to the corner is Amicus. For a moment, my wolf stands there at the other end of the hall, staring at me. And before I know it, he's running at me. I start to move forward, but Calm tells me to stay put once again, more firmly this time. So I force myself to wait, watching as my wolf sprints at me. As he gets closer, I open my arms, and the next thing I know, I'm caught up in a mass of fur, warmth, and tears. Kyllian! I'm spun around in a circle, my face pressed hard against the wolf's neck, and before I'm set down again. Amicus doesn't let me go, though, clutching me tightly to his body. He'd sounded happy at first, but now I feel him gasp and shake. Amicus! I pull back as much as he'll let me, as how I can see his face. I can see that he's crying, not even trying to hide as he looks down at me with reddened eyes. He looks okay for the most part. His fur is a bit disheveled, and maybe he's a little thinner, but otherwise he looks healthy. The most noticeable change is actually his smell, a hint of musk without any scent of lavender. Amicus is looking at me just as closely, and one of his paws comes up to brush a thumb pad across my cheek. It's then that I realize that I'm crying, too. So I press my face against his chest again, and we stay like that for a while. After about 10 minutes, our breathing is under control, and the wolf's grip on me loosens, though he doesn't let go. Finally, Amicus is the first to speak. Kyllian, I'm so sorry. What are you still doing here? You're a Kyllian. You need to go to Neferu and tell him that you want to be taken home, or at least to Kimia. His voice breaks. You need to get off at Astra. It's not safe for you here. At the very least, have Virginia help smuggle you through the palace. You could... I reach up a hand to press it against his muzzle, both to stop him from telling me that to do things I won't be doing, and also because I feel like Calm is recording this, even if Cassius doesn't mean to monitor us. Amicus pauses in surprise as I clamp his muzzle shut, and I see his eyes well up again as he reaches up to cup my hand and press his face into it, closing his eyes. I'm fine. I'm here to help you. I choose my next words carefully. I'm going to help you, and I'm not leaving until I do. Kyllian. I'm not leaving. Please. This time I bring my other hand up to his mouth. I'm safe. Neferu is keeping me very safe. Nothing can be done to me. I'm a Kyllian now. 10 minutes remaining, Kyllian. Already? Suddenly I'm pressed up against the wolf's chest again as Amicus hugs me tightly. I'm such a damn fool. I never think of others. I've ruined your life, and for what? No. I press back again. I know that I can leave with Neferu's help, but I'm choosing not to. Amicus opens his mouth to say more, but I cut in before he can. I want to be here, and I'm going to... I'm about to say take down Cato, but I cut myself off. Help you. Even Cassius wants to. I'm not going to get you... I'm going to get you out of here no matter what. More tears start to well up, so I just hug him, and we stay like that for a while. I wish I'd thought of things to say. I'm sure there are things I could have brought up that might have helped me or Amicus. But my mind is blank as all I want to do is hold my wolf. Please, just don't involve yourself too much. Keep yourself safe. Being a Kyllian doesn't guarantee all that if you meddle. I can hear Amicus trying to choose his words carefully. Yeah, Cato's already shown me that. Amicus jerks back, looking at me. Did he do something to you? Not me, Neferu. What happened? Neferu was kind of being forward, and he got kicked in the nuts. What? Yeah. But he's the Pharaoh's son. Yeah, so I know that I need to be especially careful. The look of shock on Amicus's face slowly changes to one of slight amusement. Well, that's something I can't imagine. It was definitely something. I'm glad to see Amicus smiling at least a little. 1 minute. I feel a flash of annoyance at the AI before Amicus is hugging me tightly again. I'm going to be careful. I'm just gonna help everyone figure out how best to clear your name. Alright guys and gals, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it right here. Thank you all so much for watching. At least Amicus is nice and safe. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Leave a super thanks or a tip if you can. It always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!